Nas responds after Jim Jones clowns him. After Jim Jones' attempt to clown Nas totally failed, Nas didn't waste any time in responding. Thus, the entire discussion between Nas and Jim Jones began when Jim appeared on the Joe and Jada show and spoke. Boldly, Jim claimed that although he was once a huge fan of Nas, he now believes that his own music, his Billboard run, and his appeal to younger audiences much surpass Nas.
Billboard entries, pull up Nas Billboard entries. He's just son.
No, but he knows
my son can't tell you one Nas record.
The whole hip-hop community tuned into the debate and rushed in to defend Nas's name as social media went completely crazy. However, it's amusing how far has come when you consider that a few weeks ago, a clip from the Don't Quote Me podcast brought the entire Jim Jones versus Nas scenario back to life. According to a 22-year-old New Jersey college student, Jim Jones had a greater impact on his generation than Nas. The video went viral on social media and rekindled the hip-hop generational argument. This is what was spoken throughout the meeting.
Summer in Miami, that's a classic.
If I Rule the World, how is that comparable to those songs you just said?
I'm 22. Every Nas song that my man's MJ played, we said we heard that from what, Dub?
2K.
2K. Those songs are in the video game.
Okay.
I have never in my life said at a party, yo, throwing that Nas right now. If you did top 3 influential people regarding dressing.
On the Joe and Jada show, he was reasonable, though, and admitted that he had once looked up to Nas, but had since found his own path. Now that we're back, the rivalry between Nas and Jim Jones is still very much alive. However, this is not their first conflict. If you've spent enough time outside, you'll recall the tension in the mid-2000s when Dipset was rolling with Jay-Z and Rockefeller during the height of the Nas versus Hob era. Soon after, Jim Jones entered the fray, and what had begun as adoration quickly escalated into antagonism. Jones was heard saying outrageous things in interviews, such as "F Nas, I don't give about Nas. He's a rapper that just lost his pizzazz." Nas, in the meantime, was dismissing guys like Jim without ever getting his hands dirty. Here's the video from 2005 where Nas let his fans speak for him by bringing up Jim Jones's name. There were no name drops or diss tracks, just subtle flexes. That made it obvious you weren't in my league. Who is Jim Jones?
Like a Jim Jones, like, I respect you getting your money. You're like, exactly, right?
Energy didn't truly go away. In the present, Jim's back is pushing louder and at the same angle. He then intensified his efforts on Shannon Sharpe's Nightcap podcast, pressing him to clarify whether he was indeed a greater rapper than Nas. Jim refused to back down at all and declared that he would run circles around Nas.
I will run circles around Nas rapping right. I will run circles around Nas rapping right now.
Hey, this is the biggest
Nas
podcast you ever been
Name
on.
one Nas record.
This is the biggest podcast you ever been on. Do you know what podcast
you know
you've been
Nas
on better than this one?
Regarding Nas, he still refuses to speak or pay any attention to this situation. He is aware that Jim Jones wants just that. Let's be honest. Nas has spent the last few years working with Hit Boy, performing at sold-out events, and releasing Grammy-winning music. The piece speaks louder than any retort. And his clapback is that quiet. Nas being mute as Jim talks himself into circles is the legacy talking, according to anyone familiar with the culture.
True feelings when he ended up giving Beyonce that song that they said and she wanted to talk about it.
The main point of contention has always been the parallels between Beyonce's Crazy in Love and Amerie's smash song One Thing. For years, there have been accusations that Jay-Z stole the song for Beyonce after producer Rich Harrison first created it for Amerie. Amerie has never been one to publicly criticize others, and during her appearance on Joe Rogan's program, she stated that she was unsure if the tale was accurate. Regarding the parallels, she attributed it to the fact that Rich Harrison produced both songs.
Of course. No, I've heard everything. Are you shitting me?
I really didn't hear the stories about that particular song. No, I didn't hear it. Like, I didn't hear anything about it, but a lot of people would be like, wait, that's not your record. Why didn't he give that record to you? And I'm like, he never played that record for me. I mean, it's really simple. It's like we did the first album, right? And after the first album came out, it made a lot of noise and people really loved that album.
However, Amerie did admit that Jay-Z loved her debut album, which some fans took as confirmation that Jay stole Amerie's sound for Beyonce.
You know, you have so many female artists, and you will see a lot of female artists get, for instance, lots of advertisements, and they'll be on certain magazines, and so they have a certain thing that men don't have. But a lot of people who make a lot of the decisions in the industry are men, and that's not necessarily a bad thing always, but when people come in with what they expect of women, it's very much like sing it like I told you, do it like you know what I mean?
Yeah, sing it like I told you.
And so when you write your own music and you have your own vision, I think it can be a little jarring for some people. And for me, I never went into it to just do the magazine stuff. Actually, that was the stuff I just was like, you have to do this in order to create.
This in order to create. Still, Amari made it clear that she has no regrets about walking away from the industry.